Brewsing Banter Podcast. Brewsing Banter Podcast. What up? Welcome to Brewsing Banter Podcast. I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, is the legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
I was reading this weekend.
Mama.
Nah, it doesn't taste like dirt.
My name is Lou Belgians, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm wondering.
Does Delaware have an actual culture? This is the podcast that we talk about beer, but we also talk about a lot of things that's happening in the world, politics, movies, anything really that comes to our mind while we're here sampling these brews. Grab a drink and pull up a chair.
Ooh, we love you, Brewsing Banter Podcast.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Brewsing Banter.
What up? Welcome to Brewsing Banter Podcast, where the topic is the rocking in the brew. Well, after the fuel. I'm your host, Rob G. With me, as always, legendary Brew Crew. What's going on, fellas?
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
This is episode 285 of Brewsing Banter Podcast. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show.
Hello.
If this is if you're a returning bruiser or bruisette, welcome back. We are glad you are here for another episode of the dopest podcast in the world. People always say that. Yeah. And something new. No. The most. No. When they be like the most infamous podcast.
Nah, when you say it, that mean that you ain't
ain't true. You're trying to convince people.
Right.
Oh, well, fake it till you make it, right? That's what they always tell you.
True.
It's
That
like a
is
fine line. It's a fine line, I think.
Yeah.
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah, sure.
It's a fine line. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's that line? I'm curious to know.
Well, somewhere. Can't find it
right.
because it's fine. It's a fine line.
So fine.
There you go. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sometimes the
Thanks
E
for that
turn
input.
into a D. Yeah. Can't find it because it's so fine.
All right. We do have a great episode for you this afternoon, this morning, this evening, whenever you are listening to the podcast. So we're just going to jump right into it. We have Terry Rostic from Black Calder. We're going to bring him to the podcast. We'll bring him in.
Welcome.
What up, though?
Welcome to the show. We are glad you can join us this afternoon, this morning, this evening. I don't know why I just said that. Again.
I don't know why either.
I think when I say this afternoon, I just have to complete the rundown. It's like robotic, I guess, at this point. All right.
Sure.
Well, before we get into everything, we always like to know what everybody's drinking on, if they are drinking on something. So, what we're drinking today, and we always start with our guest. Terry, you drinking something today?
Yeah, I'm drinking our IPA, Dope Boy Fresh. So I get that up there for you. But yeah, Dope Boy Fresh IPA, man. That's a pretty good one.
All right.
Okay.
And I guess we can just jump right to me, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what's the ABV on that Dope Boy?
6.5.
Okay.
I try to get it to 64 so I can be like it's a 6.4, but you know.
It's a work in progress. Because you want to say that now. Just lie. Just tell people.
You can tell it.
Yeah, won't nobody ever know. Can't nobody tell the 0.1 difference but Yoda.
I don't know, man. They out there. They be out there testing your shit. Be like, oh no, you lied, man. You gotta get rid of the whole batch.
Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
That's how I'll be. I'll be like, wait a minute.
You be like, is this overcarb? You know, you want them cats. Be like, how much carbonation you put in this? I'll be like, man, I got my face.
That's funny.
Rob, what you got?
All right. I got from the homies from Liquid Intrusion. I have their the African Queen and their 7 Seas IPA. There you go. I got that. Today it is 6.6% ABV. Obviously it's L brew with African Queen and Falconeer Flight 7 Seed hops. There it is. In the can, there's the can. There's a nice artwork. There you go. And also there's in the glass. There you go. If you can see it,
Okay.
Not too hazy. I've had it many times on the podcast, but it is definitely a good IPA. I enjoy it. Shout out to good folks at Liquid Intrusion. I always pass me another. All right. So we're going to just jump right into it. And welcome again, Terry, to the podcast. And we always like to know who you are, where you with, and how you got to where you got to. So without further ado, welcome again.
I don't know.
Sometimes I don't know what happens to Rob. Like I don't know what he was saying.
You said that's 6.0, right? That's
and the crazy thing, I don't think he took a sip yet. I think it's just like after work vibes.
Why? I didn't say, what I say something wrong? I don't know.
Sarah, did you understand anything that he said? Because you heard it from the first time.
Yeah, it might have been your mic or something. I couldn't understand.
Yeah, it was his mic. Nice try.
Gotcha.
That nigga sound like he was Jimmy. That nigga sound like his lip was bigger than a motherfucker just now.
Yeah, see? How about y'all just say that? Like, I don't know what's going on.
I was like, it took you a while to realize that no one heard what you said. You didn't say no words, man.
And y'all didn't even correct it either. Y'all ain't say, "Oh, man, what you say?" Y'all just looked at me. I see how team.
Try to figure it out.
All
it was
right.
new.
Well, once again,
it was new. But every once in a while, you try to do new things. We didn't know if this was some new language.
Well, I
maybe
was
you and Terry had
that's
maybe
what
you
it
and Terry
sounds
had
like.
a language. I don't know.
That's actually.
Thank you. All right. Well, what I was saying was, we always like to know who you are, where you with. So the proverbial floor is yours. So here's your round of applause.
Let me reintroduce myself.
This nigga just doubled down on where you with.
Where you with?
Yeah, where you with? Who you with? Where you with? All that good stuff.
All right.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. Terry, the proverbial floor is yours.
Yes, sir.
Start wherever you would like to go in your beer journey, please.
I appreciate y'all, man. Well, first, fellas, thanks for inviting me on, man. This is going to be a fun time. So I appreciate the love. Y'all reaching out to us to even want to hear our story. So, I'm Terry Rostic. I'm from Black Calder Brewing Company out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I don't know if you know much about GR or the folks listening, but Grand Rapids, Michigan is Beer City, USA. It's been voted Beer City, USA by USA Today magazine for, I don't know, maybe the last 4 or 5 years consecutively. So we got a lot of breweries, probably like 80, 90 within my area. And we were the first Black-owned brewery to pop in Michigan. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, man.
When you say, let me stop you right there, Terry. When you say 80, 90 in your area, what is that area? Like, what's the radius from like your home? What's that 80, 90?
I think it's a 40 square mile radius.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of breweries, bro. Tons.
God,
some of the breweries you probably heard of. Some of them you probably don't fuck with. But you got like, so like Bell's, right? Y'all ever had Two Hearted?
Right.
Number one beer. That's within the range of Beer City, USA, in the Grand Rapids, West Michigan area. We also got places like Founders. Some of the bigger breweries in the country are all where we're at. So, it's
why? Why? Why do you think, or do you know?
A couple reasons. So we used to be a furniture city, right? So we used to make damn near 90% of the furniture in the country was made in Grand Rapids at one time.
Wow.
And fun fact, not that this is a Grand Rapids history show, but
it is now. For the next 2 or 3 minutes, it will be.
Yeah, right. We were the first city in the country to ever put fluoride in the water. So the water is really fucking good here, to be honest. And that's a big part of the brewing process.
Really?
About that. And so it must have been some crazy ass dentists back in the 1800s, right? They like, Black folks didn't have no freedom, but they were like, we definitely got to put some fluoride in this motherfucking water. That is for your teeth and shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. How good y'all water. How far are y'all from Flint? How y'all got good water and they don't?
Yes, we are very far away from Flint's water. We are about 2 hours away from Flint, 2 and some hours from Flint. So, Flint's water actually became a problem with the pipes, right? They had a whole piping system, and then they split off from Detroit's water. They just had a whole lot of shit go bad, which is really sad. I don't think Flint's water is still back to where it should.
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah. And it's weird. Just 2 hours away, you got arguably the best water in the country.
Well, you also, if you look at Flint, it's a bigger black population than in Grand Rapids. So Grand Rapids was actually the second worst city in 2013 by Forbes magazine for black people to live in. So, yeah, we got a whole lot of shit to unpack when it comes to Grand Rapids. But we also were like the number one city to raise a family and all of these different things.
How that's one and the same?
It's not because it's not a black family. It ain't to raise a black family.
That's
it. They wasn't talking about Terry and his family coming there.
You know the answer to that.
They real specific when they say it's the worst place for black people to live. And when they say come bring your family here, they're not talking about us.
Yeah. But when that article came back, that actually helped spearhead me trying to get into the brewing industry, believe it or not, right? Because I'm from here. My people migrated from Mississippi from back in the day. My grandma and my great grandpas and all of them cats came from Mississippi and the harshest of racism. So, Grand Rapids has its problems. It wasn't like the South that they escaped from. And so, when that article came out, their indicator for why Grand Rapids was the second worst city for African Americans, and we've dropped since then. I think we might be in the 50s now from number 2 or something like that. So,
that's only what,
it has
10
been some
years?
Big Yeah.
You said 2013. Yeah, that's
2013.
Good. Yeah.
And
keep
so what
keep it up.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. What they did was they calculated home ownership. We were one of the biggest red line states. Like, I don't know if y'all know about red line and where y'all from. Right. It was like where black people can or cannot live. Grand Rapids was notorious for that. But so it was home ownership, entrepreneurship, education, and job. So those were the criteria, and that's what got us ranked number 2. The number 1 place was Milwaukee. So, we could have always been Milwaukee. So I can't complain about everything.
Yeah, I heard some bad things about Milwaukee too. So
it's different.
That tracks.
It's different.
So why did that article? So what in that article made you want to start the brewery? Yeah,
so I went 2 different paths. So I was working in higher education at the time. And even before then, I was playing around with like a Mr. Brew kit. I had a Mr. Beer kit from Bed Bath & Beyond. It was like 20% off too, right?
One of those too.
Let me tell you, man, I fucked that beer up so bad. Like, I couldn't even do the packet. I mean, he was just pouring packets in and shit, shaking it up, letting it from trash, right? I tried to make my first bourbon aged beer, and I literally was pouring shots of bourbon in the beer during. I'm like, this is how you gotta do it. I had some friends who worked in breweries, and so I asked them if I could learn the process because I just thought it was kind of dope to make a beer. Didn't really drink a lot of beer because I was still pretty cool at that time. I was doing the whole, what we do, man, vodka and cranberry.
He was still pretty cool.
You're gonna say I was still pretty cool.
I was like, what does that even mean? I need him to explain that. What does that mean?
The starter nigga drink, you know what it is, man. My first drink. You saw your mama or somebody have one, so you go.
I know I gotta drink that when I grow up. In 2 years.
Little ocean spray and shit. But anyway. But
spray, wow.
Beer was a little different, so I wanted to kind of understand the process, and then I realized the history of beer, right? It was started in Africa, and black brewers from back in the day that were slaves and all of this stuff, and so I was just like, black people birthed beer. I thought it was a dope thing, and so I was like, I want to just kind of learn that. So over time, I had studied abroad. I had did a bunch of stuff like that. Studied abroad, not abroad. Just just to be very clear.
Yeah, sure. Her name Her name was Keisha.
I was about to say, like, what are we clear on? What are we clear on? Was it overseas or ladies?
Yes, it was overseas, not
okay.
a Keisha. So,
all right, because I thought overseas at first until you brought in the double entendre.
You know, my wife tells me sometimes I don't enunciate my words correctly, you know, so I want to make sure.
Got you.
But, you know, that kind of kicked me off. But then that article, I was like, all right, well, I want to try to solve some of these problems. So I was working in higher education. I started a global leadership program for Black males when I was at a college. It was a Division II college, and we had an issue where we were losing 68% of Black males from fall to fall, which means they started one fall, didn't make the next fall. So I created this global leadership program called Alpha League, and I helped 23 young brothers get from fall to the next fall. And out of the 23, I think 20 of them graduated. And so what I did, I just brought services and resources and just helped them get to education. So that was an education piece. And I really wanted to tackle that. And then it was the entrepreneurial piece where I'm at now today. And that's where the brewery spun from. You know, I was thinking, how else can I get us off this list, right? Education was one piece. So I helped 20 brothers get through college, right? Or at least show that they could get through college and they had to get through the rest. And so then I looked at what are we known for, right? You know, I wasn't trying to do plumbing. I wasn't trying to do HVAC or construction, or I didn't want a barbershop. You know, my brother's a barber. Shout out to all the barbers. But, you know, you think about the traditional things that we get into as entrepreneurs, you know, I wanted to go somewhere that was in the fabric of our city. And so that's where brewing really kicked off for me. It's like, okay, this is opportunity. And so then I started learning the brewing process, actually getting on bigger systems. They don't tell you that, you know, brewing is mostly waiting and fucking cleaning. I mean, that's it, right? So when I'm like, yo, bro, can I come over here? And like, you know, I was going on these brewery tours and I would go into all these breweries in Grand Rapids and not see any Black people, but I was always welcome and accepted, right? Like, and so I always felt like, you know, most brewers don't have a problem with diversity, people of color, women, any of that shit, right? Like, they just make beer and they don't care who drink it, but they also are very blind to the fact that you exclude people if you don't try to include them, right? So I was able to, like, you know, be that brother at the bar. Shout out to my boy Sam Ross. If y'all know Sam, that's his tagline. I don't want Sam coming after me, but, you know, being at the bar, breaking down some barriers, and then, you know, going on the brewery tours, asking if I can stay afterwards, and like, and just picking brewers' brains for hours. And, you know, they would let me help. And, you know, the help was pretty much, you know, cleaning out the mash tun, cleaning, but it just helped me make my bones in brewing, right? Because I didn't go to school for it, you know, and I started looking up recipes, how to make it, telling history, breaking down the barriers. Then I met my homeboy Jamaal, who's the co-owner of Black Calder. He was doing something completely different. He was working for Small Business Development Council, and what they did was just help people with their business plans. I mean, I got my MBA, I went to school, but man, I did not want to do a business plan. Like, you know, I just want to do stuff, right? I just want to like make the branding. I want to, you know, rock the parties, make the recipes. So I, you know, out of the blue, I never met this dude. We were both trying to help minority contractors. So a lot of African-American women and veteran contractors. I was working at a construction company at this time. I had left higher ed, and I created another program to help small businesses and focus on women and minority and explicitly Black folks. For me, I got them $3 million worth of business at this large construction company, but we had this event where we were helping them with their business plan. We were helping them understand contracts and all of these different things. And Jamaal was there. He did a presentation. I just went up to after dude and I said, hey man, you want to start a brewery with me? And he just looked at me and he was like, didn't know me. I didn't know him. I knew his name was Jamaal, but you know, around. So, you know, he could have been fancy. He could have been like J-Mall. Like, I don't know. You know, I was like, yo. And he looked at me like, you know, just kind of stunned. So I'm like, man, I might have to squabble up. But he was like, why you ask me that, man? And I was like, I really got to squabble up. And then he was like, because I do. And so me and him, we met a few times. We kicked it around and we went on this journey. And, you know, the journey is a hell of a story, which I can get into in a minute. But that's how it all kind of kicked off before we got into legal battles, the fights, and all this other shit. Not me and Jamaal, just in general.
So Jamaal had a presentation that you was at. You liked it. And
Yeah.
said, I want to start a brewery. You want to do this with
That's
me?
the weirdest shit I ever.
And Jamaal had been thinking of starting a brewery on his own.
Correct.
What the fuck?
Crazy.
Yo, that's-
In the presentation.
Say what?
You didn't even know if he drink beer or not. So you was like, definitely just
Right,
man.
that's what I was gonna say. In his presentation, did he mention a brewery or beer at all?
Nah, he was just real savvy with like telling people about their business plans and what he do for his job and how he helps them. You know, again, I was
so you saw
the business plan thing.
He could do the work that you didn't want to do. Yeah. He was like, this is gonna be a good mix.
Good mix, like
He like doing shit like that.
He like doing stuff I don't want to do.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
like your day job. I'm like, ooh.
Got you. I got that makes a lot of sense now. That makes a whole lot of sense.
It sounded crazy at first, but now put it that way.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I was an intellectual pimp at the time.
He was.
Pimping out all this.
Because that's easy.
So,
but they always say that.
Go ahead, bro.
I was just saying they always just say that if you know what your strengths and weaknesses are, find somebody that is your strength and it makes a good team. So
there it is.
I mean, and it wasn't even it didn't even like it was a weakness. I'm lazy. I just like the way my brain works, right? Like it takes a lot of energy to sit down, analyze, do all the numbers, do all the crunching, look at all these surveys and do all this. And man, I get so much energy from like creating logos, from making beer names and recipes and, connecting it to the culture. Like that's where I get my energy from. If you put me in front of an Excel sheet, I'm gonna die in about 2 hours. You put me in a creative session, bro, I can go 24 hours, bro. We like Pac in the booth, right? Like, I'm getting free from Death Row, man. I'm making 2 tracks, 2 songs, 2 disc records, everything in 2 days, right? So
now, is Jamaal? Does he do any of the creative side? Does he do any of the brewing, any of the recipe? Creation.
He did our first Black IPA. The first beer that we launched was something where we invested in another beer kit, like a little better system. And he wanted to do the Black IPA. And so he did that piece. And then, after that, I kind of ran with most of the other recipes. He did do another one called Remember the Time. If he was here, he'd probably like turn his camera off because that was the worst beer I've ever had in my life. And I can tell him that. But yeah, it's one of our back and forth there. But
did it have like time in it? Is that what it's called? Remember the Time? Did it have like the
it should have.
Spice?
It was, matter of fact, I got the can here, man. It was, grab this, man. We got too fancy with it, man. It was like an Egyptian.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So I like that dance. That dance scene was one of my favorites. So
it was a dope.
Yeah.
And so I come up with all the creative for like the cans mostly, and all of that good stuff. And I've been doing all the beer recipes as of late. But like I said, Jamaal came out with that first Black IPA, and it was good, right? And Black IPA isn't even one of my favorite styles, but it is probably one of our top selling beers.
So that's still something that's on y'all's menu.
Yeah, it's went through a couple iterations. And when we first made that beer, we put, I don't know if you're a big hip hop fan, but you remember when Pac and Suge and all those guys were on the Vibe cover.
Yeah.
On the whole, right? And so this is where my creative mind goes. I'm like, yo, man, we about to hop into the industry. Nigga, we like Death Row. And so what I did was I put that as our first beer can label, but we put hops over their face. And so it went viral. People went crazy. And then the next one I made was a hazy IPA, and I put Bishop, that juice, a juicy IPA. We put Bishop from Juice on there, and we put a hop over Tupac head with the step fade. I mean, we've done some crazy things, but that's how my mind works when it comes to the creativity, connecting the culture, and all of that stuff. And and again, Jamaal has a great business mind. Like, you know, he's when it comes to those X&O, like business plan, I don't think anybody's ever had a better business plan than us. Like, this is what he does for a living, and he's good at it. He's like super good at it. And I am just like this creative person, man. When we was coming up with this name, just the name alone was just like, it took forever, right? I had about 1 billion names, you know, and of course, 1 billion of them was taken. I don't know how much you guys looked at this, but shit, everybody got a name. Like a white dude owns Nakasi Brewing. Like, you know, it's like, man, is she an African beer guy? White company owns it in here. Like, and all these people, like, you know, like even Detroit Red. When you look at that, that was Malcolm X's nickname, right? A company
right,
Detroit Red for it. Like, it's like so much shit from our culture has been kind of just taken, sometimes by accident and sometimes by like, yo, we're not in the industry. They're like, yo, we're gonna take it.
You know, I was going to ask you a question about that before we go further, because you were naming all these beers that artwork or title has something to do with hip hop. And so how do you feel when you go into a brewery that's not ours? But all their titles is named after hip hop albums and all this stuff?
You know, it took me a lot of maturity to think of it in a different way, because at first, you know, I used to be like, oh man, culture vultures, they out here stealing art. But, you know, when I look at Black culture and all of that, you know, we are some of the most giving and sharing people in the world. I would say Black people are, right? Yeah. And, you know, the people who embrace our culture the right way, like, you know, now if they racist and they stealing our names, that's a whole different thing. But if they like, you know, they down for the cause, or they, you know, they feel connected to the culture, and this is how they got connected and they want to pay homage. Like, who am I to tell you, you know, don't pay respect to ODB or somebody else, because you never know what their music got them through, right? And so when it comes to hip hop, to me, like, because I can tell you, like, hip hop has a hell of a story. Like, I can hear certain songs and be like, damn, I got into a car accident on this song. Or I hear a Jodeci song, I'm like, damn, I had my first pregnancy scare with this song. Like, you know, like everybody has a connection to music, right? And so when it comes to music, you know, I absolutely, I don't see I don't have the bigger problem with that if it's done authentically, and, you know, they're not just there to try to capitalize on somebody else's name.
Right.
So while we're at it, what does Black Calder even mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, so Black Calder, one, we black, so that's where the black come from. That was easy. That's like the bingo card, right? Like, boom, 2 niggas black, boom, got down. But Calder, so in the middle of our city is a statue, and it's called the Calder statue, right? And so when we were looking at launching, like, if you come to our city in Grand Rapids, it has a lot of nicknames like Calder City, Calder Ice Cream. Like, it got all this Calder stuff because that statue is right in the middle of our downtown, and it's a very prominent statue, right? And it's even in our city logo and all of that stuff. And so when we finally found the right name, we were like, yo, we're going to do Black Calder, because the first name we picked, we had King's Brewing Company, right? And so we won this prize where it was a pitch competition for 100 businesses. They picked 10 of them, and they gave 10 businesses $20,000. And we were King's Brewing Company. I mean, we put out all the stops. We got this damn show. I got glitter beer. You know, I'm out here doing all kind of shit to get people like, yo, we trying to be, you know, number 81 of 80 breweries because we need another one, right? You know, and shit like that, right? But we unique because we the first black one in Michigan, you know, and all that type of shit. And so, you know, we got a lot of love from the city, and we got voted and we won the $20,000. Well, they ran an article that was like, King's Brewery aims to be the first black-owned brewery in the state, blah, blah, blah. You know, when Jamaal was looking up our names available, we were looking in certain databases and other things like that, and it was like surprised that King's was available. The only surprise was it really wasn't. So there was a King's in California, right? And I actually met the dude, Jeremiah. He was a cool dude. And so he was trying to get in touch with us, which was funny. So somebody sent him the article from Grand Rapids that, like, and this was like in our local Grand Rapids paper too, right? So this wasn't even like no national article. Someone sends him the article. He couldn't get in touch with us, so he calls the newspaper person. He's just like, yo, do you know these guys from Black Calder, or not Black Calder at the time, King's? We own Kings in California. I'm trying to look out for them. So then this reporter calls us like, hey guys, starting shit. He was like, I want to connect you with the guy, Jeremiah, and blah, blah, blah. And before we know it, it was a new article that ran like 2 days later. And it was like, Kings clash over trademark, right? That was like the headline. What really happened was I talked to this cat, Jeremiah, and he was like, look, man, you guys can, because I don't think they registered your name right or something, or it wasn't like actually legally registered the way it could have been. So we could have tried to keep it and do some things. But I was like, nah, bro, it's cool. We'll change the name. It was like on some real cool shit. He was like, man, when you guys get up and running, I'll come out, do a collab. You come out to California, do a collab. It was really cool. And then the next day you see the article, Kings clash over trademark. And so we did a naming competition after that, right? Fucking disaster. Like people can't name breweries worth of shit. Like it was fucking terrible. I wish I could show you the names. We had like 90 entries. Everyone was terrible. And so there's this neighborhood I grew up in, which was a black neighborhood called Boston Square. So it was in Grand Rapids, called Boston Square. And so we settled on Boston Square Brewing Company. That was our second name. So Boston Square Brewing Company, pay homage to my neighborhood. With the barrel and flow and a bunch of things with my Boston Square stuff. You know, I should have known then it was going to be a problem. Everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's the cat from Boston. Yo, come through. And I'm just like, Michigan, technically not Boston, but we are Boston Square, blah, 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 you know. And I was like, man, this shit is getting a pain in the ass. But what really messed us up was, and so then we got a little more money. We want some more money. Got some different grants. We were getting our lawyer stuff together. So we were getting our name trademark. Boston Square had a cold ass logo. It was like a B. It was like we bought a font, like which was crazy as hell. We had a font created. We owned a font. I was like, damn, Jamaal, we actually own a font. Like nobody can use this B except us. Custom. And so we're going through the trademarking and we get down to the last 2 weeks. And this is when people can challenge your trademark or whatever. And we got a trademark challenge. And it was from Zazarat, which is they own Buffalo Trace, they own like Blanton's, all like these big bourbon. So they had a liquor called Mr. Boston. Mr. Boston liquor. Now you've probably never seen it because that's the shit that's under the bar when they use for well drinks, right? Like you can get a fifth for like $8, right?
Right.
And so they said that Mr. Boston was a trademark infringement, or Boston Square was going to be a trademark infringement on Mr. Boston. And so
that's a little Richard.
Like, right. Got the money and the bread. So, you know, we had just a little bit of bread. So we're like, fuck this. We're going to fight for this because this is our neighborhood. So all I can say is about $15,000 later, we decided to pick another name.
Oh, damn.
But, you know, after a while, they were like, look, you can keep the name, but you always got to put Grand Rapids in your logo. You can never make spirits. You can never do seltzers. You can't distill, blah, blah, blah. So they really tried to box us in at the end when they finally wanted to, like, it was a shame. Like, I guess this company or these lawyers that they hire do this stuff all the time. Like, they are very sue happy when it comes to, like, names that are close and not close.
They should have had another article. Big distillery tried to destroy black company. They should have had that headline.
Yeah,
I wanted to do that. Jamaal was like, I don't know if we should do that because he's the smart business. I mean, we're both smart at business, but you know, he's more of the cautious. Me, I was ready to be like, yo, nigga, we about to walk like Selma. I'm about to get like 50 marching. Like, let's go. We about to. But everything happens for a reason, right? And so, you know, so we went back to the drawing board. And then Black Calder came out of like some text messages that me and him had. And, you know, I can't even really remember. I can go back and look. But, you know, between the both of us, somehow we came up with Black Calder. I think Jamaal had said something about Calder. And I was like, nah, I'm not really feeling that. Then I was like, what about Black Calder? And eventually some of the shit just stuck, right? And that's what we did. So then we quietly... Because the first time we said we were doing a news article and announced, oh, Boston Square is the name of the brewery. Somebody bought bostonsquare.com. Because, again, you know, we excited to get the news out. But, you know, we're not thinking like, let's go buy all our damn domains. And somebody like, yo, I want Boston Square, you can get it for like 5 G's. We're like, nah, you can keep that, bro. Like, we don't need it. And anyway, so we got all our ducks in a row. We actually went through the full trademark process and then launched the name. And from there, it just kind of took off, right? You know, we released our first beer, and, you know, the rest is kind of history. We released during the pandemic, which was pretty shitty. There's just no way around it. Like,
Yeah.
we released in 2020 on Black Friday, and the day we released, Governor Whitmer shut down the state. So you couldn't even come inside and get the beer. So we had people drive 2-3 hours to come grab the beer, say what's up, keep going, fellas, and turn around and drive home. And that was the most beautiful shit I've ever seen in my life, right? Between black folks, white folks, Hispanics, people from Flint, people from Detroit, people from damn near the UP. Like, they were driving because they heard that we were selling on this day, our first release. They bought it online, drove all the way down just to turn around. And I thought, I mean, we got on masks and shit, gloves. This is when we still wiping down groceries, right? We don't know who got what, but they still got out the house to show us some love. And we sold out our first.
Dope.
Yeah, so we been running.
So the Calder statue you were talking about, is it black or is it a different color?
Nope, it's red. Red as hell.
Oh, it's red. Okay.
Red. But we did get a silhouette of it in her face here. Like, you'd almost have to go to the website, but you can see within there we have a little silhouette of the Calder outline in there. So
okay.
Now, since it was Boston Square and it's Black Calder, did y'all use the B font for black at all at any time?
Nope.
Or no?
Nope. Still on it. Still got it on some old ass shirts somewhere, but you know, never.
That could still work.
But it doesn't work because he's from Michigan, and everybody.
I'm talking about.
To him.
We said the B.
He just
said just the B. It wasn't.
Oh yeah, the B for Black Calder.
You know, I always thought that we'd break it back out like on like a history thing, and, you know, maybe put it on the shirt and, you know, explain we went from here to here to here. But you know, it was some dope shit. But we sold out our first beer. Then I made a sour called Kiwizilla, and we started putting Basquiat, like a Basquiat-ish type of painting on it. And so, you know, like, really, we introduced a lot of people to black culture, and they didn't even know it, right? You know, everybody was running away from critical race theory and, you know, don't teach me black, keep my beer out of politics and all that shit. And here we are, like, you know, putting it all into politics. Like, you know, we didn't care. Like, we did a porter called Pullman Porter with the cats from Drought Season. You know, talking about the Pullman Porters, who were the first black union in the country and what they did and all this stuff. I mean, we're selling out these beers and teaching people black history. And man, that was such a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They probably like, damn it.
Yeah, like damn, learning tastes good.
The accent's fucked up.
I was thinking of Dave Chappelle, the black white supremacists.
No, once you met once you met Jamaal and y'all started brewing and stuff, when did you say, like, oh, we can really, like, was there a turning point, or was there a beer that y'all made that said, oh yeah, we can really do this? Like, was there like an aha moment that, are we really going to take this all the way? Was there a beer or was there a beer that you made, or just something that just said, you know, I'm gonna do it regardless?
I think it was a little bit of we're going to do it regardless, right? Because the pandemic had happened. You know, we couldn't get these buildings that we wanted because things were just going crazy. And he had made this Black IPA, which was like decent. And we were like, yo, you know, we can perfect this and, like, you know, keep moving forward with this. And so we're like, yo, when we launch, our first beer is going to be the Black IPA. Like, we always felt we could do it. We just needed to get on a bigger system. But in the meanwhile, we invested, I don't know, like $2,000, and Jamaal had a brewing kit in his basement that we went and bought. And so we just kept playing around and messing around, and, you know, it was probably one of the better Black IPAs that have ever come out. I mean, and I'm not trying to brag on it, especially since Jamaal was the originator of the recipe. I'm definitely not trying to brag. It really is it's a great Black IPA. And honestly, I probably would have never thought of being that as our first beer. But, you know, he was very passionate about it, and, you know, I'm like, fuck it, bro, let's do it. And then from there on, I kept running.
Yeah.
with all
Terry, I want to
It's kind of on brand.
though.
It's kind of on brand, like
it is
Calder, Black Calder,
Black
IPA,
Black
Black.
Black golden. I don't know. Never mind. When is the presentation? When did y'all meet?
So that was in the summer of, I believe, 2017 is when we met. And we entered a pitch competition later the next year in 2018. So, it took us a while in planning of trying to just, figure out where we want to go, how much does this shit cost, because the cost was ridiculous. I mean, now it's cheap compared to what it was, but, like all of that. So it took us a few years in planning, basically, before we got to 2020. So 3 years of not making a beer, but having bottles. Like I got some of our first bottles ahead of us, like the ones on the top. Those are some of our first brews we ever brewed, and I put right in the can.
The Black IPA was out already?
Nope.
Y'all had made the Black... No?
Nothing. We didn't make the Black IPA probably until like 2019, early 2020. And I think it's probably early 2020. No, it's 2019 we made the Black IPA where we're like, damn, this drinkable, dog. Hey, we own something.
So in 2018, when y'all do the pitch and win the pitch, what are y'all pitching? Because you don't even have beer yet.
So we don't have the Black IPA, but remember I was helping my buddies who had breweries. Okay. And so I'm over there like creating a couple recipes and the little shits that they were doing. And I'm just like, yo, can I put this in a bottle and say it's mine? They're like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. So like, because we talking about it and doing it together. I'm like, yo, let's throw some glitter in this bitch. He's like, you can throw some glitter in your bottles. But I was helping them brew all of this. I was in the recipe creation piece. So, it really kind of helped us because it was a very small brewery. And he was just like, yeah, man, this can be like kind of your beta test of stuff. And so, it really helped us. And it was good beer. That didn't hurt. And so people could see like, yo, this is what our vision is. So. Okay.
Now, are any of those beers in your lineup now?
Nope. No, one of them was a blueberry coffee stout, which we may bring back again. Our s'more stout, we did end up making. And that sold out in like 4 minutes. It crashed this brewery site that was help selling it for us. And that was really good. It was our bougie stuff. But at first it was just s'more. And then, of course, I put a brand on it and made it bougie. And then everybody wanted bougie. The best shit in the world is when I have like soccer moms talking about, we want a dope boy. I'm like, yeah.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Or the dad's like, we'll have another dope boy. I'm like, oh, all right.
I like that. That's good.
So when people think of Black Calder, what are the flagship beers that you have? I know you mentioned a few of them. So what are the flagship beers?
So it's the Black IPA, is Dope Boy Fresh IPA, Bishop, Hazy IPA, and our Sucker Proof Pilsner. Those are our 4 flagships right now. Our most popular and people want us to bring back is probably our bougie stouts. So we had a bougie stout. I made a s'more stout, and it was really based on my little sister's bougie ash. We had like, sitting by the fire pit and whatnot, which is some real suburb shit because we didn't grow up with none of that. So, once I, I feel like Uncle Elroy in Friday when I got my check, I was gone. Moved to where I can have a fire pit and shit I ain't never seen. I was like, oh, y'all can really put fire in a bowl and just sit around this shit. So, but the bougie s'more, my sister had like these chocolate graham crackers and shit and like these vanilla marshmallow. I mean, it was like the most bougie shit in the world. I was like, bougie ass s'more. I was like, I'm gonna make a beer after this, and I did, and like it went really well. And then I made a bougie sweet potato pie stout off my grandma's recipe. And the can, I don't know where the can's at. I got to show you this can. I don't know if you fellas, are you fellas familiar with this? This here. So this one went super viral. So if you look, this is, I'm trying to figure out the hell the camera that over here, but this is my grandmother. And she's doing the Iverson step over.
Oh shit! I see
over somebody and she got on the 11s over somebody who may or may not look like. I'm gonna say, y'all know who it is.
Who is? I can't tell who it is on the camera.
It might rhyme with Fatty LaHale, but ain't nobody trying to get sued. So my grandmother Iverson Stepple.
Because your grandmama pie is better than Laddie's pies.
That's what I'm saying. It was
Yeah.
Iverson, right? And the whole scene was the step over, because you remember Iverson stepped over Lou because the Lakers that year was undefeated in the playoffs.
Yeah, we got the one, baby. We got one on them.
Right?
We got our one.
Right?
Yes.
So, I just want to let people know my granny got the coldest pies.
Yeah, she got better pies than Laddie.
Yeah, right.
Laddie don't got nothing on those pies.
So we threw some of her pies in the brew. It's probably one of my favorite beers I ever made.
Nice. I like that.
That's funny as hell.
How many iterations is that, or does that come back like every now and then, or does it hasn't come back yet?
It hasn't come back yet, but I did do a sweet potato pie cider with Angry Orchard. And so I keep trying to, doing more things with the sweet potato pie for my grandma's recipes and stuff like that. But that's how you bring culture to the beer game, right? It's fun stuff like that. Like, y'all get the photo. Like, some people saw and they were like, "Oh, I don't know what this is. Who's this church lady and stepping over this other one?" I'm like, you know, bro. Let me tell you something about the NBA back in the day, right? And then, but what we also did was we put Kamala Harris's inauguration outfit on my grandma. So if you notice on there, she's wearing Kamala Harris's inauguration outfit, and Laddie has on some Chuck Taylors, right? Because that was like paying a homage to her. And all of those different things, man. Like, there's always a lot of hidden gems when we have very artful, when we have very artful can work, there's always a lot of hidden gems in it. So,
yeah, that's dope. I like that.
Yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
That can too.
Yeah, because he got them back there, so they kind of like collector's items as well. Because they
I was about to say, are all those the cans that every can that y'all ever had?
Yeah, I'm missing 2, but yeah, there's 28 cans back here. We've done 30 releases to date.
Why are you missing 2?
I thought I put them down here. I must have fucked up. So I'm out here searching for them, like asking folks, "Oh man, y'all still got this one?" And it was the coldest because it was just another day. The 2 cans I'm missing, and it's the one that actually had me and Jamaal on the cover riding in a 6'4" in front of my grandma's house. Matter of fact, I have I'm gonna try to move this camera, but forgive me. You can kind of see that's a bigger steel of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Remember seeing that.
And so we had that at Barrel and Flow. But if you see the little boys playing catch with the girl, there's one of those old Nintendo bullets at it, and it's saying no matter where we at, just having a good time. It's just another day. We're still a target, right? So it's all those little hidden gems and things like that we had. That was my granny's house that I lived in. So it's like all those little fun things, man, that I try to.
Man, this is album covers, man. This
I was going to say, Terry, Terry, you a rapper? You a retired rapper?
I thought I was going to be a rapper until I found out I couldn't rap and shit. So then I just had to go and went to business school.
he the album cover director.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You could, man. That's some creative shit over there, man. Album covers, man.
So when you went abroad, were you drinking beer as well? When you went abroad, did you have beer as well?
I did, man. And so that was actually another inspiration of why I wanted to make an actual physical location, which we don't have yet. We're just doing more of the distro work while we find a physical location. And the reason we haven't got a physical location is not that we can't. I wanted to be very intentional where I went. I wanted to go in the neighborhood. Like, we had people like, yo, you can get in the airports. Yo, you can go downtown. I'm like, ain't no black folks downtown, and niggas don't fly. So I'm trying to get to an area where black folks can come and have a safe place and where we can go. But when I was in France studying abroad, I didn't know a lot of French. I had one of them bullshit Rosetta Stones and one of them little books, and I hardly paid attention. And then all of a sudden my ass had to get on the plane. I was like, well, damn, we're going to have to figure this out. And so I learned the phrase all the way there. It was "Tu es jolie, madame," which means you are very beautiful. And I would tell that to a female in France, right? Because they say, don't have your ass go over there talking English, because they will look at you sideways and not help you. And so I'd go up to any chick, no matter what she looked like, "Tu es jolie, madame," and they smile, "Thank you," or "Merci beaucoup, monsieur," right? And I didn't even know how to say "you're welcome," so I'd be like, "Merci beaucoup, madame." So I'd be like, "Thank you." So they thought I was cool shit. And then they keep trying to talk to me. I'm just like, "Sorry, that's all I got." And then they talk to me in English. So that's how I got around. Anyway, I stumbled into this little pub, man. It wasn't bigger than, it was like the size of a room, like a bedroom. It wasn't big at all, but it was like a couple in the corner that had a dog and a kid. I walk in at the bar. It's like a dude who appears to be homeless, what you would think of a typical homeless person, right? Just like kind of dirty, beat up clothes and shit. Might even had the sign next to him. And then it was like a dude in like a Gucci suit. And here I go walking in, right? They got a little ass TV on the wall watching a French soccer game, and Elvis, of all fucking people, a Velvet Elvis fucking sign. And I'm like, well, shit, let me shoot my shot. And I go in there, and they all had a beer. And I want to say it was a Leffe, Leffe, or Leef. It's Leffe. It's a Belgian beer. They had it there, and they had these little fancy gauntlets. And I was like, I just pointed to the shit. I was like, yo, everybody drinking that shit. Let me get one of them too. And the dude gave it to me, and I'm just sitting there drinking. They're all talking French, probably talking shit about me. And we over here watching the soccer game and shit. I started cheering when they was cheering and shit. Before you know it, man, we over here cheersing and shit. And they pouring more. I'm trying to get money. They're like, no, it's all good. And I left out there, but what I realized was beer can create community, right? Like, I didn't have shit in common with any of them. The poor dude probably didn't have shit in common with the dude with the Gucci suit, but we all drinking the same shit, right?
You ain't speak the language.
And I ain't even speak the language. So I'm just like, how can I not want to make one of these when I get home? And that was really the seed that planted, like, getting my own actual brick and mortar one day, or getting this shit popping.
Nice.
So that's what I was going to. I said that's what I was going to ask. Like, what is the plan? Like I said, you said a brick and mortar. You want to find the right spot.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, what are you guys doing until you get the brick and mortar?
So we're contract brewing, like most black breweries right now. We're, what is it? Like, we're 1%, less than 1% of the 9,000 or whatever. 94, 80, 89% of us are contract brewing. So we got a really good system worked out with a good brewery that has all the equipment we need. We utilize their excess capacity. We just signed a distribution deal with the Budweiser network, basically. And so we're in pretty much all of Michigan we can reach at this point. Eventually, we're going to try to get to the Midwest, like Chicago, Indiana, all around us. I brew beers in Canada with the only black-owned brewery in all of Canada. I didn't even know what an African Canadian was until I met these cats. They were like, I was going to Toronto because my homeboy was working over there. He's like, yo, you want to go to Toronto? I was like, shit, I ain't never been. I was like, let me see if there's some breweries over there. And then I found this one. It's called Moscot. Aaron Proco is the guy who runs it, but he's African Canadian. And right away that fucked me up because, I'm like, I'm African American. I'm like, African, what is y'all niggas African? Like, this is such a thing. Like, it really messed my whole mind frame up, but he was cool, man. We went out there, we did 2 beers. One was called Afro Puff and one was Hold My Sauce with some Canadian rapper. But it was really cool experience. And then I brewed in Mexico, which was also pretty dope in a small town. And so, the goal is to eventually stop all the contract brewing and the collaborations and have our own brick and mortar, which we might have a line on a place right now, but as you know, man, the world is real weird right now.
Yeah.
That's where we at.
Yeah. That is true. That was my question in terms of where can you get the beer. Now, in terms of, like, I see you got the dope beer, like, hoodie on and stuff like that. Do you design the
Yep.
the merchandise?
That's what I made. Again, this is all from, like, it's funny, man. So dope beer for dope people is our motto that I came up with. And it's really funny, man. I just take a lot of shit from dope and drug culture because, you know, I grew up with preachers, pimps, and hustlers. Like, I mean, it's just the way around it, right? You know, like these were in some of the neighborhoods I was at. You know, uncles and them was part of that life. My granddad was a preacher trying to save my, you know, ruthless ass cousins that's popping folks and stuff like that. But, you know, when I did the dope beer, you know, I was inspired by Compton, right? You know, it was like NWA, Eazy-E, Compton. I'm like, yo, shit, dope beer. Let's put it in the old E and like let's roll with it because we understand that culture, you know, and just all that. Even our logo is a black woman, the African beer goddess of Babawama, Warsaw, right? And you know, Jamaal was big instrumental in us picking a woman or picking a goddess for our logo. You know, he had came up with an idea and I ran with it. Because, you know, at first, you know, we were looking at lions and skulls, you know, some real manly shit, bears and shit, right? You know, like we always shit that could tear some shit up, right? That's what we was going for at first. And he was like, well, you know, what about a goddess? And I'm like, shit, fuck it. Let's figure it out. And then, you know, our creative side took over and, you know, we ended up with her. She's one of the, you know, like I would tell you, bro, this is probably one of the top 10 logos of all time, in my opinion. Like, you know, I don't want to get all Kanye West of all time, but I'll put this up against 10 different logos right now, and I guarantee you, with enough people looking at it, they be like, yo, that's dope.
Yeah, it is a dope logo, though.
Absolutely.
It definitely is.
So,
what is she has hop because it's like still has hops involved.
Yeah,
like,
she has hops in her hair. Her hair
hops in her hair, like that's crazy.
And the earrings, the artist really knocked it out the park, you know.
Yeah,
it was crazy because I was dealing with her. We were talking about. She was like, "Well, what are you feeling?" Like she was really a great artist, but you know, when you don't understand art in the sense of like creating it, like I understand what looks good, what I want, but I can't draw the shit, right? And you know, she was sending me shit like ice cubes and fire and like dust blowing. She was like, "What speaks to you?" I'm just like, "What's speaking to me is I need to get my $500 fucking back."
I don't know what you doing,
right?
But she was really cool, super professional, man. And she was sending me these things because it was like getting my moods and my thoughts and how I like stuff, and it was translating to her psychology. And man, she came back with this.
Wow!
Damn! I'm like, yes, exactly what I wanted.
Oh yeah, nice. That's dope. That's dope.
Now, I don't know, but do we ask this like in terms of two questions, I guess? Like, what is your favorite personal beer style, and like, what is your favorite beer style to brew?
Okay, so the first question is, what is my favorite personal beer style? It was probably like big stouts, right? I was a big fan of like those 14, 15, 16% joints. Woo! Now that my ass has got old and threw a back out last week, I'm straight pills. Give me a motherfucking Pilsner.
That's me.
12.3%.
I'm the guy now.
Yeah. My favorite style to brew is probably always going to be a stout, only because, you know, it smells so good when you're brewing it with all the malts and the hops and all the things that you do. And then I always like to throw shit in my stouts, right? Like we had the s'more. So we did s'more ingredients in it. Through my grandma's pie in one. We did a bougie peach cobbler where I flew in peach cobblers from Georgia. And we put those into a stout, right? You know, like we did a caramel cake stout. Like I love pastry stouts, like making them because it's just a fun brew day. It smells good. And like you can really bring your culture into it. Like I'm working on a pound cake stout right now.
Terry, are they just one-offs?
A lot of them are one-offs to start, but I think once we get our brick and mortar,
a peach stout, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean I got the can right here.
Well, who cares about the can?
Like, no. The can is
I went real Pimp C and bougie on that
can, bro.
There go Jamaal. So that's Jamaal back there, but you see who up here with the Pimp C fur coat on. But no, it was really cool. It was a lady, I think it was Evelyn's Peach Cobbler. She was out of Georgia, and she was on a show, and I saw this show, and I was like, damn, that's cool. reached out to her, got in touch with her son. They overnighted us in dry ice, some pies, and some of her peach cobblers, and we threw her real peach cobblers in there and shit like that, right? I mean, it was like a family recipe. It was like some cool shit, and that's the type of stuff I like to do, man.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
I mean,
fuck that can. I would too.
Yeah, is there any more of those?
I mean, we had one called Ancestors' Wildest Dreams, and we put it on wax, and we put all of our ancestors and Black people throughout, and some white folks because we did a collab that were ancestors, right? So like Kobe's on there, my great grandma, my great great grandma, Jamal's people were on there, Martin Luther King, like all these things is like on the label. And it was called Ancestors' Wildest Dreams, and it was a banana bread candy walnut stout. Like, I mean, these are the type of things I like to do. So are they going to be one-offs? For now, but I think once we open a brick and mortar, we want to remake every one of those at least one time on every like major anniversary, because that's the things that kept. So
yeah,
let me just tell you something. That. So I like stouts all year round. It doesn't matter. So like if we happen to run into you guys somewhere, make sure that you'll have a stout available.
Yeah,
well, I don't see why a Michigan to Delaware type of track for R&D couldn't be.
I've never been to Grand Rapids. I don't even know where Grand Rapids is on the map. I would have to look at it.
It's in Michigan. It's in Michigan.
We do
it. I was about to say it's in the hand. It's in the hand.
All right.
So like everybody wants to be an R&D and a taste tester until they get fucked up at 1:00 on a weekday. And you can't see no real work. I got several.
Listen, when I do R&D for the company, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing any more work for y'all. I do the R&D.
Yeah,
you can't multitask for your company when I'm doing R&D.
That's true. You can't.
No.
Is your stouts high ABV, or what's the highest ABV you did on them?
The highest ABV I got up to was one that we did with Goose Island. It was called Big Brown. Actually, that wasn't even stout. That was just a brown ale. We got that one up to 14%.
Okay.
And then right now with Goose Island, we have a stout aging in a 1792 bourbon barrel that's going to come out this summer that we're going to have at Barrel and Flow. So
there we go.
Yeah. So make sure you go to Barrel and Flow, man. Shout out to the homies there. Day does great work. What he does for the beer community is amazing. Like when I first went to Barrel and Flow, I didn't have a brewery. We had a name that we was getting sued for. And I was just in awe of some of these cats, man, and it really just gave me the motivation. Like, damn, I'm seeing Black people do it. Jamaal went the first year, and he was like, "Yo, bro, we got to do blah blah blah." And then I went the second year, and we've been every year. I mean, we've never missed a year, and it has been pretty much, man. Barrel and Flow has been life changing to attend as an up and coming brewer to get to the point where now we're in grocery stores and Total Wine, Whole Foods, and Myers, and all these places. So,
yeah, shout out to Ed and Day, because that's not the first time we've heard that.
I was about to say we've heard it.
And been inspired.
It's not even the sixth time we've heard it. It's a lot.
And we've invited Day out to Toronto with us. He's come out to some of our releases. I mean, Day is really for the culture, man. He'll be the first to tell you. He'd be like, I don't know, y'all might know Day. I got more of that, that smooth pimp voice. Day just got the hey, yo, people like, yo, I ain't no motherfucking brewer, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, that's my guy, though, man. Like, I fuck with him so heavy because he cares about Black people. He cares about beer culture. And, again, he's a comedian. He came from everything else, but, man, he's opened up so many doors for people in the industry that he basically is not even in. He doesn't even want to be a brewer, but like for me, what he's done is so selfless, right? Like to go into another thing, see something, bring more art, bring more Black people, bring more culture. And what he was doing was trying to do something in his city, which is also really amazing, right? Because, he'll tell you about the problems that Black people have in Pittsburgh, and he created the #1 beer festival in the country, right? Like I just have so much respect for that dude. Like, Yeah, I mean, I'll be 100% frank. Black Calder would not be where it's at today if it was not for Barrel and Flow. Right? I had also had ambition, but you know, you almost have to see it to believe it. And we didn't have any black brewers around us, and I was able to see it, so I believed it, and that was instrumental in our growth and development.
Right.
What they say, put the battery in your back. like, I'm like, oh yeah,
hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it did that for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on your socials, you posted a picture with Mark Cuban. What was that all about? Or how did you meet Mark Cuban?
I don't know what to say on that one. That's
boy. You know, that's a big shot.
TBD.
Oh, TBD. Okay.
But no, I did get to meet Mark Cuban. It was pretty dope. Mark is man. Is interesting, man, for a dude to have that much wealth, how down to earth he is. And he's tall as shit, right? He's about 6'3", 6'4". I'm 6'2", right? And if you're looking at picture, he's taller than me. And like the first thing I did when he came to the brewery that I was contract brewing in, when we started having a good conversation and lunch and stuff later, but I looked at him, I was like, damn, bro, anybody ever tell you taller? Like in real life, he was like, I get it all the time. He's like, but you got to remember, I hang out with 7-footers all day. The first thing I said to Mark after that was like, you know, I'll still post your ass up. He looked dead at me and he was like, shit, I'd like to see you try. And from that moment, it was just like clicking, right? And so, you know, he was investing in he had some stuff with Jamie Foxx and tequila and something, I think. Black Winery in Texas. Like, he does a lot of cool things. So, yeah, me and Mark chatted it up real well. And, you know, more to come on that. But as we're growing and stuff with that, yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Dope shit, man.
Congratulations.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Here, motherfucker, say me and Mark, you know.
We'll look forward to more to come.
I didn't want to say how I really was chilling is because I was introducing Kamala Harris's husband to like a whole bunch of people, and like so I'm hanging out with the first or second gentleman, and you know I got to meet Kamala.
So you didn't want to humble brag. I might as well humble brag.
And he swore he wasn't gonna be Kanye. He doing Kanye shit right now. You know me, Elon. I was talking to Elon, and
you know, I got a picture of me and Kamala, and she was smiling harder with me than I was with her. You know.
She was more excited. Okay, I see what you did. I don't know how true that is.
She was
but
cool.
I see what you did. That's what's up.
He Kanye us. That is crazy. Name drop like a motherfucker.
I tell you what. I mean, Rob had me like Kanye in the beginning when he was just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I was in that motherfucker. Like, no, I was like, what's the dude who was next to Kanye? And Kanye is like, George Bush don't like black people. Who was that? Austin Powers.
Mike Myers.
Yeah. He was like, I'm gonna hand it over to Terry. I was in that motherfucker like,
just waiting for my turn, man. Whenever you say my name, I'll start talking.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's all right, Rob.
Yeah, I like what y'all doing over there, though, man. Just keep it up.
Appreciate you.
Like, what do you like? Sure. How do you like? What do you think it is that gets black people involved with beer? More black people involved, because even though we go to Barrel and Flow and shit, and we see all these black people, it's still just a pinch of salt. Like, what do you think needs to be done?
Representation, bro. We gotta have spaces that we own that we can go to and be us, right? You know, I want to go in there and hear Bobby Brown. I want to hear SWV. I Get So Weak. All that shit in a brewery, bro. I'm not hearing that in a Belgian brewery. One of my brewery friends who have a German brewery. Like, we need to have things that speak to us, right? Like, I don't know if you know what Dina Howard is, but that's a family member from Grand Rapids. Yeah. So, you know, like little shit, like, you know, I'm making a Dina Howard.
I don't know if y'all know who a Dina Howard is, but that's my cousin.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to make a Dina Howard Heffenweiser, like shit like that.
I'm about to say, what a freak like me beer at.
Yeah. Eventually, I have to hit some of my Macintosh cousins up and be like, yo, let's get in touch with Adina and let's make this happen. But
yo, man, will you shut the fuck? You know what? Cut his mic off.
You got 2 more minutes. Who else you know? Who else you want to name drop before we go?
I ain't gonna name drop no.
Go ahead. We know you do. You know Bill Cosby. You know Lisa Bonet.
Hey, Bill Cosby. I thought about
Lisa Bonet specifically. Felicia Rashad.
The DeBarges is from Grand Rapids. You know, I can get
That is true.
You know, we got a little music.
I like a good DeBarge beer. Just collab with all of them. Make a whole playlist.
When I like it.
Beer album.
Let me tell you, the one I reached out to that I'm still trying to work out is I reached out to Orange Jones Juice.
Oh, that's my guy.
Man,
don't touch that coat. Don't you dare touch that goddamn coat.
Hey, you scallywag dragon head. Like, what?
I started to cold blast you, but I chill.
I almost pulled a Jammy out and put a Rambo, but I chilled.
That is the best monologue ever.
Yo, that's gonna be the longest title beer that they got. That shit gonna have all.
It's called Walking in the Rain. It's just called Walking in the Rain.
Got some hot chocolate on the stove for you.
Yeah. You can go back and leave with them hush puppies you came out here with.
Don't touch that coat.
Don't touch that coat, boy.
That's okay because you're young. You'll be all right.
You still got time. You can learn.
That shit is so dumb.
He gave her advice and just started cussing her out.
I ain't got nothing for you but advice.
Here's the advice. Get your motherfucking ass about my motherfucking house right now, motherfucker. With your hush puppies.
Crazy.
Well, he was mad and he wanted to impart wisdom. So I get it. You angry, but you also
he definitely was not Captain Sable. That's for sure. He was Captain Teacher. But he was saving.
Well, ain't that how you used to get beatings back in the day? Your mom would beat you, but tell you what you should have did. Like, you know? So it's the same thing.
Learning lessons. It's a learning lesson. Because she got time. She's still young. She got time. I feel like Orange Juice Jones was way older than her.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he was way older than her.
Was he though? It definitely seemed like it though. Even if he wasn't.
But you gotta remember, Captain in the 80s looked 75 years old.
Right. He was like 29.
But I did reach out to him. He reached back out. We never got able to get back connected. So I'm gonna try to get that collab for us.
Oh man, invite us to Grand Rapids when y'all do that collab. I want to be there. That is my idol.
Yeah,
man. That shit came out. We was like 8 years old, man. Bro, fucking memorized that shit. That was like one of the first songs I remember somebody talking and then playing it on the radio. Like he talked his whole shit and on the radio. Like every time they played the song, he told you don't touch that coat. Like they never cut him short.
Hey man, he had a lot to say and people needed to hear it.
Definitely. I definitely saw you with him walking in the ring. God damn it.
Now, if I'm curious to know, like, if somebody was having Black Calder for the first time, what beer would you recommend them to have?
You know, I always ask people, what is their flavor profile, right? Do you like things that are bitter and hoppy? Do you want something that's smooth like your old Colt 45? Or do you want something unique? And so I start with that. Most people, I tell them to try the hazy because it's a lot of citra. Very juicy, really good beer. It was like 8.8%, but we lowered it down to like 7.4 on our second run. But I always like people to try Bishop, you know, especially if it's females, they'll like that, you know, something that they can throw in. I'm like, shit, throw some cherry juice in and, like, you know, make it comfortable, make it sexy. Like I tell people that all the time, make your fucking beer sexy. Like throw some cherry juice in the motherfucker, put an orange peel in it. Like you ain't gonna hurt it.
Right. So you don't mind somebody coming and mixing your beer.
Hell no. Like, you know, I got once you bought it, it's yours.
You do what with it?
You bought that motherfucker. You poured it in a plant.
Business first. Yeah. You're not holding firm to this is the way you drink my beer. Drinking at this room.
Terry gonna be like, oh shit, is that motherfucker sniffing?
Go ahead. You bought it. Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
That motherfucker. You got some coke for it in there too. Perk, pills, syrup, Molly. Take a Molly with this motherfucker.
Got you. Whatever you need to rinse it down with, you can.
Right. Well, so, and the reason I don't get all pretentious like that, man, because I've sat at a bar with folks, man, who would turn you the fuck off from beer, right? They be like, hey, listen, you got to smell this, you got to swish this shit in your mouth. Hey, hold on, no pause, man. I ain't swishing shit, first of all. Like, you ain't gonna tell me, like, you know, and like, I just never like people who try to tell you how to drink and then what you should experience, right? Yeah. I want people to come up with their own vision of how they want to drink something. Like, I can tell you why I like it. You know, and if you taste it, cool. But you know what? If you are a fruit fan, throw a strawberry in that motherfucker if you want to. Like, right? Like, I feel like beers can be like mixed drinks if you allow people to be creative. Like, you know, the first motherfucker who threw a lime in a Corona probably looked at like, what is you doing? But now everybody put a lime in a Corona, right?
You can't even get one without one.
Yeah, Oberon. They put an orange slice in that motherfucker. Now everybody got to have a beer with an orange slice here in Grand Rapids. Like, you know, it's like, I'm like, cool, man. Set the next trend. Throw some coconut in that motherfucker. I don't really care, man. Just enjoy it, right?
Yeah, enjoy it your way. I like that, Terry.
Okay, sure.
All right. Any more questions for Terry?
No, I think that's a perfect way to end it.
Yeah.
Monologue just as good as orange juice. That was a great monologue.
Yeah, I'm looking at the clock. I'm seeing 1:15. I told my wife this about 30 minutes. I was like,
oh shit.
Hey, I was like, these niggas gonna be drinking. I'm gonna be drinking. We got here in a half.
JB was there. He drank too much.
Was like, we ain't drinking. I was like, dang.
If we would have been drinking, it wouldn't have been faster. Don't think that
would have been for me because y'all got too drunk. I'd have been like, all right, fellas, man, this was great. Y'all was hitting a real question. I'm like, damn, I got to stay alert.
We want to thank Terry Rostic from Black Calder for coming on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Before we go, we always like to know how people can find you on these worldwide webs, how they can support the brand, even if they're not in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So how can they find more about it? Where can they get the beer if they are in Michigan and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so if you're in Michigan, we're in all of like the Meyer grocery stores, Total Wines. We're working on Whole Foods for next month, and a lot of retail shops on the east side, the west side, and the Capital Region City area. So if you're from Michigan, you know. BlackCalderBrewing.com. We have our merch for sale. That's also very, good for us. It helps us keep going. So you can get dope beer t-shirts, hats, all that good stuff. So those are the places. Follow us on IG and Facebook, and just support. That all helps.
Absolutely. Cheers.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate y'all.
All right, Lou, how can they find you?
My name is Lou Belgium, and I'm on them Instagrams. Go Birds.
All right, yo.
I'm just curious, Lou, when you gonna let it go?
Oh, no, bro.
It's too early.
It's never
early.
You gotta dethrone. Take the king.
I know, I'm just curious.
Take the crown off. Once you take the crown off, once somebody dethrones the kings, then I'll let it go.
Oh, you're lucky the Lions got hurt this year.
I'm not lucky about nothing, man. Can you spell champion?
If I sound like an Eagles fan, champion.
Don't be mad at me, baby.
Let me just tell you, bro.
It don't sound like you do. It don't sound like you do.
Y'all was the first ones to get Michael Vick a shot, right?
Yep.
I fucked with y'all after that. Like,
all our quarterbacks been black, baby. All our quarterbacks be black. You got to respect that.
Not all,
for the most part, yeah.
We got more than most. We got more than the league.
Yeah, that's
like the league don't got as many as we do. Y'all got black quarterback. Oh, y'all had Rodney Peete.
We had Rodney Peete.
We had Rodney Peete too.
We had Andre Ware. Who else? We had Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah,
Teddy Bridgewater played for y'all.
Yeah, he was on the
Did he play? Did he start for real?
He did until he
never touched the ball.
I didn't know that. I thought
he did until he didn't.
Until he didn't. I gotta look that up.
He didn't make it on TV. He didn't make it
on
on TV.
He made it to the third preseason game. They got rid of
17.
He just naming black quarterback.
He was actually on the playoff roster, bro.
He was this year, right?
Season?
Was it this year?
He played a couple of seasons.
He was a back. He was the backup by then. He never started for y'all.
He started and then he.
Interesting. Well, go Birds. Go Birds. And no, I'm never letting it go. I'm never going to let it go, yo.
I just don't ask. All right.
It's okay. Especially in the face of the enemies.
There you go. You can find Brewsing Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook,
Hold on.
What?
We have to find Yoda.
You can find me on IG at IM302YODA.
Oh, that's right. He interrupted. You interrupted your own self to ask why.
Yeah.
How long you going to ask?
I still didn't say it, so that's.
Oh shit! You missed your turn. You missed your slot. Your slot was when you can't add a slot in there. You missed it. You missed the bus.
We slotted. We all slotted, and you missed you asked your question in your slot.
I wasted my 43 seconds.
You did. Yes. You gotta learn. He made you learn today.
You can find Brewsing Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, or X, and TikTok, and all that good stuff. You can go to www.brewsingbanter.com if you want to buy merch like this we got on. Yoda got it on as well. There you go, Brewsing Banter Podcast. You can listen to the podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. Damn, not Google Podcast, but hey, if you can try, if you work, go for it. Listen there.
Right, just try it.
You can say, Alexa, play Brewsing Banter Podcast because we're on Amazon Music as well. Remember to rate, follow, and review. You want to follow me, Rob Say Brewsing. There it is. Once again, this has been episode 285 of Brewsing Banter Podcast. Until next time,
have a good week, everyone.
Cheers.
Biatch. What no baby? You look good now you carry. Long time I watch you, I want chat to you. You go like you don't want chat to me. So what I'm doing? Tell me what the fuck I'm going on.
Cruising. A back street on D's. I got my Glock cocked cause niggas want things. No soon as I fed it, things I got 20 by some nigga with a Tech 9 trying to